It started with a low, steady buzz that bounced off the stucco walls of my cul-de-sac just after sunrise. For most folks, a chainsaw at 7 a.m. would be grounds for a noise complaint, but for our block, it had become the anthem of recovery. A series of windstorms had slammed through the area over the past few months, ripping centuries-old oaks and sugar maples from the ground like paper cutouts. Fences lay in ruin. Branches loomed dangerously over sidewalks and driveways. And some yards looked more like disaster zones than places kids played. I'm Caleb Barnes, a semi-retired arborist, and while I might not swing from limbs anymore like I did in my 20s, I still knew my way around a chainsaw. With no fanfare, I offered to help out neighbors who couldn't afford full tree removal services. Quietly, methodically, one branch at a time, one driveway at a time. No charges, no contracts, just doing what needed to be done. That is, until Meredith Langston got involved. Meredith lived 3 doors down in what she insisted on calling a Mediterranean villa, though it was really just a 2-story beige monstrosity with fake columns and solar-powered lawn gnomes. She ruled our HOA like it was the Roman Senate, and she was Julius Caesar reborn in yoga pants. Her laminated violation notices were legendary. She once issued one because someone's mailbox was too whimsical. I hadn't even touched her trees. I'd simply trimmed a massive limb that was dangling like a guillotine over the Johnsons' minivan. But at exactly 7:16 a.m., just as I was wrapping up, she stormed across the lawn in a robe that probably cost more than my saw, shouting, "Excuse me." In one hand, she clutched her phone. In the other, a fresh copy of the HOA bylaws. "Is this registered tree work?" she demanded, holding up the pamphlet like a courtroom exhibit. "Are you licensed for weekday chainsawing?" I blinked. "Ma'am, I'm just violating subsection for B," she cut in. Noise pollution and unauthorized arboreal activity. I'd never heard anyone say subsection with that much venom. I tried to explain I wasn't a contractor and wasn't charging anyone. I was just helping clear storm debris. "Helping?" she repeated, narrowing her eyes like I just confessed to felony landscaping. "That sounds suspiciously like unlicensed commercial activity." She marched back to her house and slammed the door. By noon, I had 3 formal complaints in my mailbox, one for violating HOA noise guidelines, one for operating a tool not on the approved ambient decibel list, which she invented, and one printed on pink cardstock folded into the shape of a frowning tree that read, "Cease and desist unauthorized chainsaw operations." She posted about it online, too, between kombucha recipes and passive-aggressive memes about noisy neighbors. But what she didn't count on was that the same people she'd antagonized for years. They remembered, they watched, and they rallied. By the following morning, Meredith had launched what she called her Neighborhood Serenity Initiative, a campaign to ban all powered tools on weekdays. Drills, lawnmowers, even electric leaf blowers. She taped her ordinance draft to the HOA message board, 11 pages long, half of which cited obscure studies from Scandinavian nursing homes. She appointed herself Citizen Soundwatch Officer and began handing out auditory violation reports. The Maguires got cited for trimming their hedge. The Bennetts got flagged for using a screwdriver with unwholesome enthusiasm. And my personal favorite? A toddler was written up for excessive noise from a toy car. She paraded from house to house in a bright orange sash that read, "Sound First," demanding signatures for her initiative. At one point, she cornered Mr. Alvarez, our 78-year-old Vietnam vet, and accused his blood pressure monitor of being a covert compressor. "Likely story," she said, eyes squinting. "Probably a cover for Rogue Landscaping." I hadn't touched my chainsaw since the complaint. Didn't matter. Meredith had made me the villain. The cause wasn't noisy, it was control. She didn't want quiet. She wanted obedience. She rallied the board, 3 of her wine club friends, and a guy named Chuck who thought motion to approve meant agreeing to appetizers, and called an emergency vote. They passed it. All non-essential equipment suspended until further notice for neighborhood harmony. The same week, a major storm was forecasted. Everyone knew what that meant. Fallen trees, damaged roofs, power outages. But chainsaws, drills, even shop vacs were now contraband. Friday night, the storm hit. Saturday morning, chaos. Limbs everywhere. One dropped straight through the Reynolds back patio. But no one had tools. They weren't allowed. Not unless Meredith's decree was overturned. and the only person on the block who knew how to fix it. Me. That morning, Denise Feldman, HOA secretary and proud owner of 3 Pomeranians, knocked on my door in her Crocs. "We need you," she said. "The Millers are trapped inside. A tree collapsed on their porch." I raised an eyebrow. "Aren't I banned?" She handed me a post-it note. "Temporarily unbanned D. Feldman," written in shaky cursive. It was bootleg, but it was enough. The moment my chainsaw roared to life, the entire street turned. Windows flew open. Kids pointed. The Millers cheered. In 20 minutes, I had their door cleared. That's when Stuart and Linda arrived. Stuart wore socks with sandals. Linda once fined someone for having a festive wreath in April. Both were drenched and desperate. "She said we'd feel more zen," Stuart muttered. "Do I look zen to you?" Linda snapped, flinging mud off her manicure. I agreed to help, but only if they signed the post-it too. It ended up looking like the Declaration of Independence after a rainstorm. House to house I worked. Cleared driveways. Repaired fences. Reattached carports. People clapped when I showed up. Kids called me Chainsaw Claus. Stuart handed me a Starbucks gift card and called me the true HOA hero, which was wild considering he once fined me for a crimson shed. But Meredith? She doubled down. She screamed "anarchy" from her porch and emailed the board a 6-paragraph essay titled "Decibels of Doom." Attached was a graph comparing chainsaw use to emotional instability. No one took her seriously anymore. Until she sued me. A real lawsuit. Ongoing auditory assault. Emotional distress. Garden trauma. She included time-stamped photos of her basil looking slightly wilted. She claimed her chihuahua, Muffin, developed a nervous eye twitch due to revving trauma. She sought $3,728.49 in damages, including noise therapy, herbal restoration, and something called silence reintegration coaching. Her lawyer, Gerald E. Pulaski. 1 Yelp review. 2 stars. Smelled like peanut butter. I called my cousin Leah, a real estate attorney who lives for this kind of drama. She filed a countermotion for immediate dismissal on grounds of frivolous nonsense. Word got out. Denise knitted me a chainsaw hero scarf. Mrs. Clark promised to dress as a bush and protest if I lost. Meredith posted a video sitting cross-legged by burning sage. Warning of mechanical malevolence. She ended it with a graphic of Muffin wearing earmuffs. Mediation was set. Meredith arrived in white robes, passed out biscotti, and began with "Let us align our intentions." Leah snorted. When asked for evidence, Meredith handed the mediator a mason jar. "This," she whispered, "is pre-chainsaw basil. Smell the vitality." Leah replied, "Smells like pesto." Then Leah dropped the hammer. A stack of neighbor testimonials, photos, thank you notes, and storm cleanup receipts. "This," she said, "is what the court will hear." Meredith stood, whispered, "This circle is spiritually contaminated," and left. The next day, her lawyer sent a 1-line email, "Plaintiff withdraws complaint." She wasn't done. Meredith launched a new petition, "The Community Commitment to Sonic Sanctity." Subheader: Chainsaws don't have feelings. Plants do. She targeted me specifically. A Polaroid of me holding my chainsaw annotated in red ink, "Unnecessary aggression." She held driveway forums with cucumber water and ambient music. Claimed my saw triggered generational anxiety in rose bushes. The HOA board finally snapped. "Enough," Stuart said at the next meeting. "We're not banning emergency tools." The room clapped. Meredith glared, whispered mutiny, and stormed out. But karma wasn't finished. A week later, Greg, the retired firefighter behind her house, texted the group at 5:17 a.m. "Pretty sure I just heard a leaf blower." It was Meredith, using a backpack blower. At dawn, the audio system she'd installed to catch rule breakers? It caught her. Greg pulled the footage. Her screaming at the blower, "Start, you stupid thing. Don't make me look like a hypocrite." Someone auto-tuned it. It became the neighborhood anthem. The board fined her $1,150. Required her to attend a noise ordinance course narrated by a puppet named Barry. She tried to appeal, claiming ancestral intuition and therapeutic debris removal. No dice. Then came the forged complaints. 11 fake HOA forms accusing me of malicious hammering and unauthorized garage acoustics. One said I revved a chainsaw at 2:47 a.m. during a full moon. All forged. She even signed off with toddler scribbles. Greg testified. Lady, I sleep with a CPAP and a parrot. The board suspended her HOA privileges. Barred her from filing anything for 6 months. She retaliated, hired Brent Dawson, a private investigator with a trench coat and a 2004 camcorder. He filmed me picking mulch. His report? A scrapbook of me petting dogs, helping neighbors, and smiling near azaleas. Final page, subject exhibiting dangerous levels of curb appeal. We laughed so hard we framed it. Then Brent, unpaid and bitter, exposed her. Posted a video titled, I was hired to spy on Chainsaw Man. It featured Meredith giving instructions while wearing a Namaste or Die shirt. She tried to claim it was AI. Too bad she signed a release for Min Glitter Pen. The final straw? She started her own HOA, Serenity Heights. No one joined except her cousin's roommate and Brent. She claimed to govern 3 houses in every direction. Declared Tuesday afternoons sacred. Pets had to wear padded booties. She submitted a request to the county for recognition as a new jurisdiction. The clerk laughed so hard she choked on her burrito. Eventually, she was audited. Turns out she'd used HOA funds for vibrational rebalancing, sound bath blankets, and a karaoke machine labeled Group Harmonization Initiative. When caught, she claimed you can't punish someone for healing. You can, Stewart said, if they used HOA funds for fondue. She was fined, publicly shamed, and forced to repay every dime. But the final poetic justice? She got a job. At a nursery. Public engagement coordinator, which held chainsaw carving demos. Every Saturday, we showed up quietly and watched as she flinched every time the saw started. The artist winked at me and said, Great folks at Whispering Pines. Love their maintenance guy. She didn't speak. Just turned purple. Later, in the greenhouse, I told her, smells peaceful in here. You ruined me, she said. No, I replied. You did that with a laminated flyer and a vendetta. As the chainsaw buzzed again, someone carved Community Strong into a cedar slab. Carreno, Meredith knocked over a crate of sage. And just like that, peace returned. Chainsaws hummed. Lawns were mowed. And the neighborhood healed. With a little noise and a whole lot of karma.